What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Where will James Harden end up? We're going to talk about it. Let's go.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
Welcome in, everybody. We'll call it A2D Friday nights. We're here to break down everything that's going on in the NBA, to start a free agency, and where will James Harden end up. I'm Tom Arnone. That's Ryan Brodo. We are brought to you by Baggio's Bread. They're located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. They're home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pies, sandwiches, cut with meatballs. Mention A2D Radio to get 10% off your in-store purchase. That's Baggio's Bread, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Like I said, we'll go over NBA free agency updates and whatever rumors are out there, and the Sixers are exploring Harden trade options. Who's going to be the buyer? Ties into our poll question brought to you by FanUp, and FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. Daily MLB contest going on right now and more. You win great prizes. Sign up today. Use our promo code A2D, and you get $50 right at sign up. FanUp, you can download them on the Apple Store. Our poll question, James Harden. Oh, my God. I just don't understand why that's such a struggle to put up. James Harden getting traded is the best case scenario for the Philadelphia 76ers. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live, and everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation tonight and let us know where James Harden will end up. And do you agree or disagree with the poll? James Harden getting traded is the best case scenario for the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes, agree. Put it on a T. It's obviously the best case scenario, and whatever you get back is what you get back. You just got to be willing to move on from it. You can't sign. You see the money getting tossed around in the NBA. You can't sign James Harden to a max deal right now. That's egregious, and you can't give him any bit of extension. And he's only getting older. He's not getting any younger. I don't care he led the league in assists. I could probably lead the league in assists if I'm playing with the MVP too. All right, if you just put me in a pick and roll all day with Joel Embiid, probably have 8 to 10 a game too. So he's just not the same guy anymore. We watched it, we witnessed it, and I don't see how it gets better. So at some point, you have to move on from the situation. And hopefully it's true. The opt-in is just to deal him, to move on from him. Hopefully it's not like a lie where, he's opting into it and he's here. Now, if he opts in to that deal and it's the rest of a 1-year deal, then sure, I guess I'm okay with it. I guess I'm okay with over 1 more year. I think I speak for all of us. We just don't want it for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years at a lot of money that will just tie the hands of this team. We already see the bench is now depleted. It wasn't a good bench to begin with. But Niang gone, Shake Milton gone, bench already a little bit weaker, right? So you can't go get top heavy. So, I hope they can get the deal done. That's been rumored with the Los Angeles Clippers. I think that's probably the best deal out there for the Sixers, and you can recoup some things. I saw 2 first-round picks back in that deal. Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, and Morris, or whatever different options are out there. I'm totally cool with that. It makes you deeper, and now it allows you to run with Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and maybe Tobias Harris, unless they move on from him too. But to me, I always say that's a better 3. Now you have Norman Powell, Morris, Terrence Mann, and then hey, down the road I got some first-round picks coming my way. That's an ideal situation. I don't care about picks, but right now, that's a good return for a guy who's 33, going on 34 years old, that can't jump over a milk carton at this point of his career. Right? Never really could. But now he can't even get over an index card. So, I got to move on I got to start over. And it'll really tell me a lot about Daryl Morey if he's willing to, if this is real, right? If this is real, it'll tell me a lot about Daryl Morey and the ability to not let personal relationships get in the way of winning. So I agree. I think that's the best case scenario for the Sixers. I don't know. I really don't know how it's not. So everybody out there, let us know what you think.
Yeah, I totally think either way, Tom, like you said, because like you hear like Ramona Shelburne saying a few times today on ESPN when free agency opens, she keeps saying like, oh, there's still a chance. The door is still open for Harden to return for this year if they can't get a deal done. Sure. If that is like, I mean, we're not putting percentages on it, but if that's, ends up happening, I feel like it's still probably the only move and situation where we would, I guess, be in a situation where we could talk ourselves into Harden staying, right? Because it's for 1 year and it's for, I would say, I don't want to say way less, but less than he was projected or at least hoping to get when he signed that deal, this time last summer. So I don't think it's going to end up being that, right? It's kind of like, it seemed like as soon as he opted in, it was like, oh, he's gone. He's upset. He feels betrayed by Daryl Morey because they left him in the dark. It's like, yeah, this is what happens when Daryl doesn't tamper with you, James. This is the exact opposite of what happened, this time last year when we were tampering with Harden for his new deal, Tucker with, signing him to the 3-year deal and signing Daniel House to the 2-year deal. It's like, yeah, of course we're not going to tamper. We got, in serious trouble. And also you're probably not worth the tampering anymore. You're not worth the long-term contract that he was rumored to have wanted, whether it was from us, whether it was from the Rockets, wherever. I completely agree. Like, we have learned, we kind of learned this before this past season, but we've really learned this, in 2022, 2023, that James Harden can no longer be that second and definitely not the first option of a championship contending team. He just can't. Can he be a third option, right? As far as a facilitator, being a high IQ guy at times, getting other guys involved, keeping the ball moving when he's not dribbling for 14 straight seconds. Yeah, right? Like, we're not saying that the guy completely sucks at this point, but he's not worth what he was looking for, right? And if that takes sending him off to the Clippers for Norman Powell, some assets that we can either keep and help or, assets that we can use in a future trade, whether that's this offseason or down the line, you do that. You do that. Like, I keep seeing out there like, oh, the trade that you laid out, which I would be absolutely fine with, Dom, right? Like, I know it doesn't have like the star, power that I know a lot of people are hungry for, around the NBA, but it's a move that makes sense. And people were out there calling it like, oh, that's pennies on the dollar. I can't say that for a guard who is now aging, who thinks he's way better than he actually is at this point, who, by the way, other than the Rockets and the Phoenix Suns for 2 seconds, did not have any rumored market in free agency. None. I was saying that to somebody yesterday. I was like, don't you think it's odd that somebody who led the league in assists and somebody who is of the caliber of James Harden had no rumored market other than just like his old playground? Like, it's kind of weird. Or actually it's not, because he's not James Harden like he was before. So it's time to move on. It's time to officially see what Tyrese Maxey can be as that second star along with Embiid. And also it makes sense because you have to pay Tyrese Maxey next year. So it opens it up. I don't feel stuck. And I don't think this organization should feel stuck anymore like we did about 48 hours ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, I know all these reports coming out about Maxey next year. I just want to clear the air for people. Like, he's not a max money player. So anybody that like thinks that right now, he's got a lot of work to prove max money. So I don't even want to have that conversation yet. I'm not worried about next year and what you need to do. That one doesn't have to do with the other in this conversation to me. It's I don't want James Harden. So like we could bring up the Maxey stuff down the road, right? But I don't want James Harden. I'm going to start there. I want to give the keys and let's see, okay, how does a younger player fit in with Joel Embiid? How does Maxey and Embiid play? And then I can have a clear-cut answer on what I want to do with him moving forward. But my number one priority is moving on from him and seeing how much I can bring back to make my roster deeper and stronger. Listen, at the end of the day, we just saw you don't need a million stars to win in this league. I'm so sick of the star hunting teams. Like, you don't need it. All right. Denver, Miami just showed us all. 2 stars, 1 star, and 1 really good player, and then deepness around. All right. That's what wins. That's what wins. All right. You need to be able to have more than, let's say, 3 or 4 guys. Because if those 3 or 4 guys are off one night, next thing you know, you're done. You're done. So it's nice to have different complementary pieces around your star players. That's the way you do it. You know, Joker and Murray, stars, right? And then a lot of great things that fit in that are the right fit for Denver that fits in around those 2 guys. Miami, Jimmy, star, Bam, really good player, right? And then a lot of complimentary things around those guys. And that's what it is. And Miami's a different conversation because they just lightning in a bottle-ish. But Denver is what you're looking at. Denver is what you say is, okay, it's not a million stars. Milwaukee wasn't a million stars. It was Giannis and then really good players around them. Yeah. Middleton, really good, all-star caliber player. Drew Holiday, all-star caliber player. Neither one stars, right? So you have to be able to build around it. And I think this is the way you go about it. Norman Powell's a really good player. Norman Powell could shoot it. I'll take Norman Powell a heartbeat. A heartbeat. I might trade him straight up if you told me Norman Powell, if this was all out, like Norman Powell, 2 firsts for Harden. I might do that straight up. And you say, Tom, that's egregious. I know it is, but that's how much I don't like the other guy. Like if the money wasn't the same and didn't matter, I would rather pay him less money than pay Harden $39 million where I'm going with this, right? Yep. Because it opens it up. If it was all equal playing fields like normal sports, but the NBA wants to be cute about it on, all right, well, he opts in for $39 million, but if he didn't opt in, you only really get 12 off your books. What does that even mean? So whatever, he's back for 39, but he's not back. Who's looking the star hunt right now? Because somebody out there will be. There's an organization and a team, and maybe it's the Clippers because, you're talking about Kawhi, PG, and Harden would be another big sell of, what they've been trying to sell here for a minute, and they just haven't had the health to sell it.
Well, and the other thing too, and Eric, listen, we think we know what Morey is, right? And we're not saying that he would only be taking Norman. Tom's basically saying, and listen, I'll put myself in that bubble too. We're both big Norman Powell guys. We're saying our faith in James Harden as the guy that we need him to be has deteriorated so much that we're not only looking at how we can help the Sixers this year, but going forward. And Norman Powell, by the way, he has a previous relationship with our new coach, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Norman Powell, you go and see what he was in Toronto. Something that you can bring to the Sixers and pair with Maxey and Embiid, there's much worse you can do. The team that you mentioned, Tom, as far as like a team that's star hunting, and I feel like this has been our entire lifetimes, but this was like the second team that was rumored immediately along with the Clippers for Harden, and that was the Knicks. Correct me if I'm wrong. First off, I don't like the Brunson-Harden combo anyway, right? Like, I don't like that. Like, I actually think that hurts Brunson a little bit because Harden's going to want to be on ball. But, like, does somebody, like, straight up, jump out to you? It's like, oh, okay, that's a guy I want realistically for James Harden. That's on the Knicks?
Oh, from the Knicks, you're saying?
Yes.
Anybody.
That's okay. So okay,
like, I'm that anti.
Okay.
I listen. We watch it again, right? We watched, and people are going to out there in the chat, and the pro Harden guys are going to tell you about game 1, and they'll tell you about whatever other game it was, 4 maybe. I don't even care. But what those people will leave out is game 6 and 7. What those people are going to leave out is when you check what's between your legs games. That's what those people are going to leave out. And if he had enough in the tank still, he probably plays better in those 2 games. But it just shows you the age of not taking care of your body throughout your career enough that when you're 33, you look like you're 39. That's the difference. That's the difference. That's it. That's it. And if you go get a guy like Norman Powell, Maxey runs your point per se, Norman Powell's your 2, Tobias maybe slots into your 3, or Powell can play a little 3. I mean, he's only 6'4", but he could probably play a little 3 for you. He's a combo, right? And Tobias plays a 4 for you. But that doesn't matter. The point is like it's better. It's better.
Well, what's fun too is that when all of this came out yesterday, everything came out that the Sixers and Clippers were in active negotiations and have been for the last week regarding James Harden and Tobias Harris in like separate deals. So, say for example, we get nuts here and we send both of them over there, right? Maybe
both of the Clippers.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting half the roster.
Just doesn't want to get off he just doesn't want to get off the phone with them.
Yeah, yeah. It's I gotta here while I have you.
I feel like impossible. Like, I don't feel like they don't have enough unless you're like getting a PG back. But then why would they go that route?
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
When this first came out, I'm thinking, oh my God, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Embiid. I'm ready to go. Even though like Paul George's knees and his shoulders and pretty much his entire body frightens me, right? Because it's been anything but consistent, which is the identity of the Clippers last couple of years. But it seems like they're going to want to pair. They just want a big three again, almost like a big four, because they're talking about bringing Westbrook in, even if they get Harden. So it'd be like a Westbrook, Harden, Kawhi, Paul George thing. But I'm guessing if you were to put Tobias Harris in there, you would be getting Powell, Mann, Morris, maybe Covington's 11 million. And then, then you get like picks, right? Maybe like 2 picks, maybe 2 firsts and a second. Like, I don't know.
Is that going to add up?
The money? It's close. I can see.
It's probably,
the machine's never far from me, Tom. You know that.
I just don't know if I want to go to the same team with that.
Fair.
Yeah. I don't know if that, like, that doesn't bring me enough back for it brings me enough back for Harden, obviously, but I don't know if that's enough back for Tobias, depending on what it was. Like Covington back for Tobias, this doesn't do it for me.
No, that's like, so, okay. So I'll get it to where it matches. Okay. So it would be Mann, Powell, Morris, Covington, Batum, and then picks. It's half the roster. Yeah, and I see people saying like Bones. By all accounts, they are going to be extremely cautious about dealing Bones Highland and Terrence Mann. I said to Ralphie before we came on, I'm like, listen, I like Terrence Mann, but like, who are these two guys to be like, oh, okay, they're off the table? Like they're not Tyrese Maxey. Like Terrence Mann's like, I would love to have Terrence Mann, right? Like I'm not going to be upset with that, but I don't know. Maybe it's like a negotiating thing. But you're right. Like, can we send Tobias to the Cavs, right? Or like revisit one of these teams that were rumored to have looked into him this time last week, right? Then maybe you're acquiring Norman Powell, maybe a man, and then somebody, from that third team for Tobias. Who knows, right? Like that's the beauty of the NBA is that we could do as bad as they have like their contract situations where like everything needs to be a math quiz. You can make a deal with like 5 teams at once, and it's just like a blink of an eye. Like, oh, okay, that happened. Great.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to make you very upset, okay? Because I have a feeling, and I want your thoughts on this. It's a 2-parter. What if they got, say it's just Harden, say it's the Harden deal, and they took the assets back from Harden. Say they got 2 picks, Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, but they use that right away for something else.
What?
What if they pair that and they go after Levine? Because that's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to do Maxey Levine.
It's not thinking what they're going to do. It's like the only things that are rumored right now are is that and somebody else. It's the only things they're connected to. So it's not like you're not feeling that. That's just what's been reported, right? So it's not like
everything's been reported. I mean,
yeah, but that's really
Zion Williamson's been reported.
But that's like the big. I mean, it's him and
Dame.
Yeah, like I get it. Whatever. I mean, listen, I'm not going to be upset about anything. It's just
that's how down you are on Harden.
No, it's not even that. Like I'm just not going to get myself wound up now over something that would take a lot to happen. Okay. Right? Like that's a lot of moving and shaking. Like let's get through the first one before I can get all the way and unpack myself to like a Levine. Right? Okay. Like let's see how that all shapes up to say, okay, now I'm going to get pissed off because I don't like this guy too. So I'll wait to get mad, and plus I'm too tired to get mad about Levine right now.
Fair.
So, but I've heard that too. I've heard that the Levine and Dame stuff. But again, that's even hard to do. To get both of them takes a lot of things to happen. That's why I don't know what they're going to do. No, I really don't know what they're going to do.
Listen, that's why, like with all these reports, Daryl doesn't know what he was going to do because I'm sure they expected to go in and have negotiations with Harden at this point. Listen, 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago, Daryl thought probably that Harden was going to be here right now, right? Like, listen, they were in lockstep. This is a big moment for Daryl, right? Like, if he's truly gone, if Harden's gone, it's like he finally took the Rockets only setting off the machine, off the signing machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's big. Like, this is the first time, if he truly pivots away from Harden, which also I remind everybody to both of our points from earlier, Like, he's not going to take pennies for Harden. Like, this is the guy who's chased Harden and has tried to acquire Harden everywhere he's went. So I would say that Daryl Morey is going to be the last one to undervalue James Harden, as much as James Harden really isn't James Harden anymore. But if he truly moves on, I'd give him a lot of credit, right? Like, unless he gets, again, like Zubac and a second-round pick, like, unless it's like a ridiculously poor deal, I would give him credit, because it looked like they were just going to run it back and kind of go about this like, oh, it was all Doc's fault type of a thing. Which, did he have fault? Yeah, but it wasn't all his fault.
I just wonder if other teams have soured on him even more after like his comments at the end of the year, in terms of, you know, I want to have, you know, offensive freedom. I want offensive freedoms, etc. Like, I don't know what that means. So besides, hey, I want to take every shot. I don't know what it means. I don't know if that's a Doc shot, if that's a Joel shot, if that's, hey, I still think I'm a superstar, so I'm going to take shots at other things around me. Like, I don't know what, and really nobody does but him on what he means by that. But to me, if I'm an executive around the league, I'm going to look at a guy that to me has lost his step, obviously, and say, what are you talking about? You should be so thankful to be able to play with a guy like Joel Embiid that allows you to still have a market of 30 million plus, right? Like, that's what you should be thankful for, because without leading the league in assists, your market is not worth that.
No.
At going on 34 years old, it's just not. It's okay. But you're not a 30-point a game guy anymore, James.
Well, it's like we see like 7 to 8 different sides of him, right? Like, it's just like a regular.
Didn't we, though? From like day one we got him till now, we've seen like such a great teammate, and then we've seen like, oh, he's at a strip club in Vegas during the playoffs. Like, what? And then, like, we've seen, like, to your point, we've seen every little side of him.
To the fam at home, like, peeling back the curtain, if you could get a glimpse of the text exchanges, just if you could just find a feed of every text that Tom and I send each other during the NBA season about James Harden, you would think we're talking about 90 different players within a span of 2 weeks. One time it's like, oh my God, this guy is the highest IQ guy in the NBA, because he showed signs of that, right? Like, he'll have a game where he's got 15 assists and he's just letting everything play out, and he's not ball hogging, and he has like these really key plays on defense, which is like, what? And he has like a block in the final 2 minutes of the game. And then 2 games later, he'll be like 3 for 19 with 5 points and like 7 turnovers. And we're like, what? We're like, did you not sleep last night? Like, what happened? What happened here? And I think that, honestly, again, like, we're not going to play Dr. Phil. We have no idea what he thinks about, you know, his current status in the NBA. But it truly came across as somebody that would have like good games where he would, you know, kind of fill in what Doc and the Sixers wanted him to do. And then he would get into this mode where it's like, no, I'm in Houston. It's 2016. I'm still him. And he couldn't get up off the floor. He couldn't jump over a piece of paper, right? Like, it's like he would, I don't know what the hell it is. It's really weird, but I don't want to be dealing with really weird things with my second best player, or the guy who I need to be my second best player, especially in game 6 or 7. I don't need to do that. Let somebody else do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, let somebody else do it for sure. And it's like, there's ebb and flows for sure, but his worst games compared to his best games, there's like, wait, what? You know what I mean? It's like somebody just smacked you in the face. Like, what happened? Did you just smack me? Because that's how like drastic it is. It's just a drastic thing, and you're just like, I can't deal with this anymore. And then you said the second best player. I'd rather see, like we talked about, I'd rather see Tyrese or Tobias be that second best player.
Yeah.
So that's third best player than him, with a side piece like Norman Powell, right? And side pieces of other things that can give you offense, you know, besides him, right? Let's just forget that this sport isn't just played on the offensive side too. So let's be clear out there to everybody that's clamoring for him, that this sport isn't just played on the offensive end. This sport is also played on the defense end as well. And he's not good enough there. And if you think he is, I would suggest you just go watch the last series. You don't have to go watch his whole career. You can go just watch the last series and let me know how good defensively he was, when it looks like at times in game 6 and game 7 he may have quit.
It would be one thing, Tom, if we did the typical thing with how people talk about Harden, and again, I'm not saying that this would be incorrect, but it's not even like we're talking about his career, statistics or everything that he doesn't done well in the playoffs, like in his career. Like, we're not even talking about his shortcomings in Houston or even in Brooklyn, right? For the 5 seconds that he was here. We're not doing that because it doesn't apply to it. He was a much different player. It's solely based off of what he wasn't when we needed him and how unlikely it is that he's going to somehow recapture the magic. Forget for like a consistent matter of time, just at all for a series, damn it. Like for a second round series when he continuously gets older. And listen, like again, he's due. It's like he's more consistent with a hamstring update than like, hey, let's get like a 2-week sample size of Harden being.
He's more consistent at the strip club. I mean, listen, I'm gonna double up on you. I mean, you're right there. I'm gonna double up. So there's two things that are problems. Listen, I don't care what you do off the court if you produce. I'm the biggest advocate of that. Live your life. I'm not telling you not to live your life, but I'm telling you, honey, in season, if you're not producing at the level that's expected or that being paid by an organization, right? And you're not living up to that, and there's other things that come out that, in my eyes, could lead towards you maybe coming up a little small, not only in the club, but on the court as well, a little double smallness. Okay, that's what we watch from James Harden. All right, listen, you don't want to you don't want to clear out your loins before the postseason. I mean, you should be anti-sexual activity during the second round of the playoffs. Like you should say, listen,
full cleanse.
Yeah, full cleanse. Because you gotta have a lot of build up in there. You gotta have a lot of build up to deal with the physicality that is the NBA playoffs as they go on.
As John Cena said back in 2002, ruthless aggression, Tom. No, build up ruthless aggression.
He clears out. He cleans his laundry, every week at the strip club.
And then, hey, if you get past the second round, we're not even saying if you win a championship, you get past the second round, then open up the floodgates, right? Like there's a little time in between series.
But how about this? Like, if you want to go back there was talks about him like wanting to go back to Houston. Yeah. And when those reports came out, I was like, I want to go back to Houston because of this, or because I have a business there, or different things, right? That sounds like you're going to retire.
Yeah.
Like, I love the golf courses and I love the palm tree, right? Like, you know what I mean? It sounds like you're going to retire. What are you going to retire?
St. Peter's.
Yeah, like, what are you going to go retire? You're going to Boca? What are you going to go to Boca and retire? Like, grow up. What are we talking about here?
Communities where it's all like everything's like enclosed.
Yes, I know nobody in the NBA, Robert, is doing, is putting the lock on their pants. Period. But I'm just saying, maybe for James and Joel, maybe you guys should buckle up.
If Lou Williams isn't putting the buckle down while he's in the bubble during COVID, nobody's going to. Guy left the bubble to go to Atlanta.
Was that Lou?
Yeah. But he told the NBA he was going for the wings, though.
Oh yeah. Great spreads. Yeah, I mean, I always consider, like, when I think of a strip club, I think of great spreads.
Oh yeah.
Great food. Oh my God.
Love the Caesar salad.
Yeah. They like the Caesar salad they like the lemon pepper on the chest.
Yep, there you go. Lemon pepper Lou.
Oh, yeah, lemon pepper Lou on the chest though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Martian, you gotta know how that's eat.
Well, I'll tell you what. And we kind of we talked about this when it came out on the Christmas report, Tom. We said if there was any truth to that Harden report that came out by Woj way back when, that just tells you all you need to know, right? Nobody's talking about Dr. We're doing the Dr. Phil. We're going to act like we know him. But if that was true, and he went from trying to tell the world that all he wants to do is win a title immediately, then the second, forget about after a full season with the Sixers, this is not even through halfway through the season that report came out on Christmas. And we're talking about going back and reuniting and doing a farewell tour? Like, oh, okay, I got to go back. I got to see everybody. It's been like 10 years, even though it's been like 2. Like, come on, man. I'm not saying the Rockets aren't going to be good, eventually, right? Like, they have a lot of pieces. They decide Fred VanVleet to an absorbent contract, which tells you all they need to know about how they felt about Harden. Because if they didn't want to pay Harden and they paid VanVleet that, And I don't know, maybe Fred VanVleet's a better player than Harden right now. I don't know, but it's just wild, man. Like sometimes you have to look in the mirror and not only see how you are in the NBA, but how everyone else views you. You're James Harden, and there was no legit market for you. You had to opt in because you had to avoid losing a crazy amount of money. Because, Tom, this is the other thing. You look at all the deals that he's opted out of and kind of gone out of the guaranteed money he had in Houston. No, I want out of there. He said no to like a 2-year, something close to like $100 million, 2-3-year, $100 million contract or something over that with the Nets before he, said, oh, I want out of here. He could have been happy here, right? He could have made it work here. And listen, I appreciate him for taking a pay cut last year, but come on, man.
Yeah, I don't appreciate him. I just don't. I got no appreciation for that guy. And somebody out there said like you should have got more back for Ben. Let's not do this. Let's not do this tonight.
We're never gonna make ourselves happy if we're going back to that.
Yeah, like we had to get rid of that loser. So here we are.
At least Harden plays basketball he's kind of part-time now too. But yeah, he plays basketball. He didn't quit yet.
Marique, what do you want to keep Harden for? I don't explain it to me. Explain to me why James Harden needs to be a Sixer. I need to hear that. And I need to know how he's a star as well.
No.
Because I don't know. I must have missed the star part. If you want to keep him, that's fine.
Sure.
Right? Like whatever everybody wants to do is on that. Right? I don't make basketball decisions here in the city of Philadelphia, or we probably wouldn't have gone as long as we've gone without a championship. Maybe we would have gotten one a little sooner than the 80s. Okay? So that's all. But I don't make basketball decisions here in Philadelphia. But if you want to keep James, that's fine. I got no problem with if that's what you want to do right this second. But how are you making this roster deeper around Joel Embiid than Tyrese Maxey, James Harden? You would have to deal then Tobias. Do you think Tobias is going to get you back as much as Harden may be able to get you back to make yourself a little bit deeper? Probably not. Probably not. He can get you back some good things maybe to make you a little bit deeper, right? But I don't think you got rid of a loser then. You know what I mean? You got rid of in my opinion, a better overall player. You got rid of a better overall player. I'll just say, I don't care what people say. I don't care. This game's played both sides. It's not just offensive. You got to be able to play a little bit of defense. And who knows if Tobias would be better, not just sitting around.
So Merrick says he's an amazing talent, bro. And then Roman says, I agree with Merrick. Keep Harden. He is a star. He had 3 great playoff games when Embiid couldn't. Who could be a better number 2 to Embiid? Explain. Well, who can be? There could be a lot of guys that are better, right? Because, was he really good at times in that, in that Celtics series? Sure, right? But again, what about game 6 and 7? What about consistently being able to stay healthy? What about also, here's the other thing too. James Harden, if he was going to re-sign here, it was going to be long-term. That's what he wants. He wants something that's over 2 years. That rumored 2-year, the 3rd-year option, that was not good enough for James Harden. So you're going to have to extend him and probably pay him until he's 37 years old. That's the issue. If it was like, hey, I'm going to come back for 1 year, maybe with a 2nd-year option, okay. But all signs point to James Harden wanting a lot more than he was actually going to get by somebody.
Yeah, they lost me at star and an amazing talent. You know what I mean? You want to talk to me 5 years ago, sure.
And then I saw somebody say he led the league in assists. I'm going to pull up. I don't know. I don't remember. I've kind of blocked that series out. I'm going to see how many assists he had in the Celtics series by games. Let's see. James Harden stats. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, we all know he led the league in assists. That's cute. I don't care. He did that with you forget. People just forget that he did that with the MVP of the league. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what some people want.
5 turnovers, 2 turnovers, 1 turnover, 5 turnovers.
So we're going to need to move on from him, period, because we need to replenish some things around here. So it is time to move on. It is time.
That's correct, Philly Sports with Bake. He says Harden was the reason we won 2 games, and he was I wouldn't say was the main reason, right? Like he sucked in 2 of them. I'll give the 2. The game 7, everybody sucked. Like Joe was not good, right? So like this is not like Embiid was a saint during that series. Hell no. Tobias Harris was your most consistent playoff performer this year again, which you could argue he was last year too. That's a problem. Okay, so that was a big issue. And I saw somebody say like, "Oh, we only have 9, people on the roster." Yeah, well, it's 4 hours into free agency. I do want to ask you, Tom, your thoughts on Niang and Shake going. 2 guys that it looked like Niang was going to come back, and Shake it sounded like he was going to be gone for a while. What's your thoughts on both of them leaving here?
I mean, Shake never really got consistent burn here, so that is what it is. And Niang was I don't know, he was too hot and cold for me. I mean, it just doesn't matter. I feel like there's plenty of those guys in the league. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like that's a dime a dozen guy. And that's not a shot at him. Like great personality, etc. But dime a dozen. There's like 50 more Niangs floating around basketball.
Yeah. Jimmy J, this might be the first time Tom and I both agree with you. He says, I can't believe Niang got paid. He's a specialist. Yeah, he is. Definitely. 100%.
Yeah, he didn't do enough to get that. I mean,
no.
that's somebody overpaying.
No. The other, are you like what's your thoughts on McDaniels coming back? Like, cause like everyone's like, oh, you lost Shake and Niang, so you must bring back McDaniels.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't he's somebody like the good to have, but I don't look at him as a vital piece of the defense.
No, I mean, if he came back, he comes back. He's not again. There's plenty of those guys around the league, right? So I don't know. I hope that the coach has maybe some input on what's coming back and what's not coming back. I would hope. I'd hope that you get some fresh eyes in here, maybe, and that person has a say. And not just Daryl. Like I hope they can all sit at the table with each other and have a conversation about these types of things. But no, I think McDaniels is again like a dime a dozen guy.
I'm just gonna name a deal that happened today, Tom, and give me like your first reaction to it. Okay, like what you think of it. Jeremy Grant going back to Portland, 5 years, 160.
Way too much money. It's absurd.
Panic move. That's like, oh, Dame. Oh, okay. We gotta. I guess we gotta do what Dame wants. The whole Dame thing is just weird, man. The whole thing is just weird. Like, if this thing is true that he wanted Draymond and Grant along with what they have, do you think that's like competing in the West, Tom, for like championships, right? Because that's what Dame's chasing. He wants to win championships the right way.
What are you asking me? If it's weird?
No. If that's like good enough. If the
to win a championship?
Yeah.
How about Dame worries about staying on the court enough?
That's a good.
And then maybe it can be good enough. But you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it can be good enough. I mean, like play 70 plus games and then maybe you can get your team into the postseason. And then maybe it is good enough. Like I don't dislike their team at all.
No.
You know what I mean? And is it weird, the whole Dame thing? No, I just think a lot of this is just speculation that people put out and assume a guy wants out. Maybe he's totally content there. Like maybe he is. Because if he really wanted out, he would be out. Right? Like if he really wanted out, he would have been out years ago. So maybe there's something to it, maybe, but every year is the same Damian Lillard conversation. And every year Damian Lillard's back on Portland. So
if you're running the Blazers, and I understand like Dame's like very important to the Blazers and everything, doesn't there come a time and place where you're like, okay, we need to do what's best and we need to shop Lillard? Because it's not like they don't have a young core, right? Like Scoot, Anthony, Shaedon Sharp, and whatever you get back for Dame. Like there's much worse situations around the NBA that I could name other than that.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think that it's a hard place to get stars, right?
True.
So if you have one, because they're you know what I mean, they're losing with them. So needing to get rid of them to bring stuff in isn't necessarily the position they're in either. They just had the 3rd overall pick, right? They've had other top lottery picks per se through this or higher first round picks.
Yep.
So I don't think they're in a position where they have to like get a king's ransom back for him. And it probably hasn't been the right deal, I would assume. Right. And I would assume part of it is that he probably wants to stay there. There's probably a comfortability of being there. That's how I look at it. Doesn't mean he can't be dealt tomorrow. It just means that's the way he looks at it. Like, why is it every year we have a conversation about him, and every year he's back there? It just means he probably wants to be there.
Every year it's him and it's Bradley Beal. The Bradley Beal thing just finally happened after all of this time. Fred VanVleet, we mentioned it earlier, 3 years, $128.5 million.
Way too much money.
You know what that is? That's Houston having so much money in probably the worst year possible because the free agency class is not the greatest. Kind of sucks, right? So it's just like, okay, we got to use it somewhere. Kyrie, after all of the speculation and rumors, he's going to meet with these 7 other teams. He goes back to the Mavericks, 3 years, $126 million.
No, I think that's great for Dallas. And I think they need it too, obviously. To give those 2 guys another run at it and see if it could work. So that one I think is a smart move for the Dallas Mavericks, even though I'm not like Mr. Kyrie, but they had to. You know what I mean? You don't make the trade for him and then not bring him back.
Philly Sports Debate says, Tom and Ryan, who do you want the most in the starting 5? Like, what starting 5 can they realistically put together for you, Philly Sports Debate? Realistically put together that you're satisfied with? Jesus.
Oh no, I only have 9 players on the roster right now, so I can't even tell you what I'd be satisfied with right now. You know what I mean? I can't even tell you. A good start to me would be no Harden, Joel, Maxey, and Tobias, and then go from there, right? Like, it would be a good start, no Harden. I can't even tell you because they just had, you know what I mean? Philly Sports, like they don't have enough on the roster to even make that. Like, and it's too many deals that we got to talk about tonight that would have to go into like who I'd want in my starting rotation.
Tom, I'm still holding out hope that somewhere a Tobias and Harden for Pascal Siakam and a pick could somehow happen. Because I think that would be fun. Siakam with Embiid and Maxey. Those are your top 3.
So Tobias and what?
And Harden, since they just signed Dennis Schroeder to 2 years, 26, which is hysterical. That's like their Van Vliet replacement for the Raptors. But like, say Harden goes there, and then Tobias goes there, right? And you got Siakam. And if I'm not saying that's like it, right? Like if you want to throw picks or whatever, like other players, then that's fine. But like that's like the basis of it.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to need more back than just that, though, because you don't have enough players on your roster.
Oh yeah. Now like a Boucher, that would be fun.
I don't know. That seems like a lot of money just to get Siakam.
Yeah, it's like $74 million in cash. Yeah. So
I hope he's not making $74 million.
Siakam?
Yeah.
No, it would be like Trent, because I know Trent just went back there. So it would be like Trent and Siakam, yeah. A couple more notable.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I would need again more because I only have 9 players.
Yeah.
So I still think I need maybe a couple more. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Kuzma goes back, kind of a swerve, I guess. We thought people, he was going to go to a contending team. Kuzma goes back to the Wizards, 4 years, $102 million.
Oh, Kuzma goes back to the Wizards,
yes.
4 years, $120 million.
Yep.
So there's the answer.
Yeah.
There's the answer.
Money
nobody
talks.
Else,
That's your reaction.
Yeah,
Money talks.
Yeah, nobody else is going to give him.
But first, I'm like, wait a second. Did I say
you got more money than Draymond
like,
Green? No, you said it perfectly right. I just answered it by answering.
No, you're right. It took me a second.
It's like you got more money than Draymond Green. You think about that. Not that he's better. Not that Draymond's better. Just think about that.
It sounds weird, doesn't it? Sounds weird.
Yeah.
It's like a double kick. Like, wait, you did what? Chris Middleton. This is a Giannis move. I don't care. Like, there's no way they would be doing this if Giannis was anywhere else. Chris Middleton goes back 3 years, $102 million.
Jeez, God.
That's just like Giannis. That's like the loyalty thing, right? Because
Well,
Middleton
yeah.
has been healthy in 3 years.
Yeah, I think they have to too. It's Milwaukee,
Portland East.
Yeah, you almost have to.
Yeah.
So,
let's see. Draymond, you alluded to 4 years, 100. Going back to the Warriors.
had to, right? Had
Yeah.
to. I mean, that's their heart and soul. I think it's been, said by a lot of people, right? Like a lot of people have said, you know what I mean? A lot of people have come out and said that his importance even more so than we already knew it, right? But when you hear more by players, then you even know there's a lot more truth to it, right?
He was so like. I doubt you were watching this last night. You might not have been home when it was on. It was Kelsey and Mahomes against Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in like the golf match type thing. Middle way through the broadcast, Draymond Green's like with those two. So like as soon as we saw that, it's like, oh, okay. Is he really going to be with them and not go back? Like this is what I'm talking about, like this tampering thing. Of course the Sixers get fined, right? But the entire rest of the NBA, some of these deals have probably been done for a week. And it's like, no. That's done. That's done. That wasn't tampering. Yeah, it was an obvious move though. The Lakers. I said to Ralphie earlier, I was like, how do you guys have all of this money? They bring back Rui Hachimura, 3 years, $51 million. They bring in Gabe Vincent, 3 years, $33 million. And they did something else. They got Taurean Prince, which I like Taurean Prince. They got him 1 year's $4.5 million. And they got Cam Reddish at the vet minimum. And they might still be able to bring back Reeves.
Yeah, I think the Gabe Vincent is a good move for him. I'm anti-Laker talk, so they kiss my ass. I'm anti-Laker.
I'm cool with that.
Anti-Laker talk.
We'll
Here.
keep moving. Let's see.
Gabe Vincent, though, good signing for him, though, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think we would all say we'd rather have Gabe Vincent instead of D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, for the price tags, for sure. Yeah. Yep.
George Niang, 3 years, $26 million. Dennis Schroeder, 2 years, $25 million. Kobe White. The Chicago Bulls make no sense, by the way, Tom. So Chicago, they bring back Kobe White, 3 years, $33 million. Fine, whatever. They do a deal where they brought in Javon Carter, 3 years, $20 million. I don't know if they know what they are, if they're going to blow it up or if they think they can win a title next year. The most random moves of all time.
Yeah, maybe that means Levine's leaving.
The last thing I was going to ask you, Tom, is there a player out there that is in free agency, and this is for the fam too, that's still out there that you're like, okay, for the mid-level exception and whatever, money we get after trading, Harden, if it's there, that you want the Sixers to go after? Or maybe it's somebody you want them to bring back, Paul Reed, McDaniels, etc.
League minimum? Who would I want? I would have to really look.
Not league minimum. The mid-level exception. So like 11. It's like 11.5.
Dylan Brooks. I said that earlier.
Okay.
About a month ago. I'll just go back I'll circle back to that one.
Okay.
Dylan Brooks. I would like. I know people out in the chat won't like it, but I'll take a guy like that. I don't know really what it's like out there. It's not. It's
a bad class.
Yeah. So I mean, that's probably the best of what's sort of out there right now in that price range.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Brook Lopez is out there. Obviously, we're not going into that. Seth Curry went back to the Mavericks.
I'll take
That's
DiVincenzo.
the guy. That's the guy.
I would like a way to get both of those two guys. Can you give me Brooks and DiVincenzo? Can I get both of them? How about you get rid of goddamn James Harden? How about that? That's the move I want to see the Sixers make. Then all these rest of these conversations are going to be fun because then we're going to know, what do we need? I have no idea what we need.
No, I don't know what the roster is. No.
It's hard for me to even give you guys that I want, and all, you know what I mean? Not being just dismissive of the questions. I don't even know. It's that weird until I know the direction they want to go. Then it's like, okay, how can I fill in the rest of the roster? Right? I got ideas that he's going to get moved, but let me see that happen, and then let's get A done before we go to B here. So for the Sixers, that being, get rid of Harden, trade him. Let's see what we bring back, and then we can know how we can fill in the rest of this roster. Who needs a rebuild? KZ, Sixers?
What? I love the overreaction sometimes. We're 5 hours in. We're not even 5 hours in. I'm sorry.
I mean, I was willing to trade Joe and the whole roster after Game 7. So I get it.
Time to rebuild, guys. Team's cooked.
I get it. But no, I mean, we're not in a position of any stretch to be like, well, let's run it back and try it again. No, I think we've done that. So now it's time to move on, see what we can get back, and then see what the rest of the roster is going to look like.
I'm interested to see if they stretch this out, Tom, with this Harden thing. Right? Like, Daryl took 6 months for a guy who didn't play. Well, it's interesting, right?
I really hope not.
No, I think it hurts us, right? Because it goes to what we were both just saying. We have no idea how to build out a roster if we don't know who our point guard is and if we need to attach anybody else. We have to attach PJ. Like, that's the other thing, too. It's like PJ might go.
Yeah, right. PJ. Does Tobias have to go?
Yeah.
Right. I just need to grab something. Does Tobias have to go? Does, like you said, PJ have to go? I got so many questions. This is probably the hardest one we've ever had to do.
Yeah.
Because, like, in years past, it was just like finding a piece, right? Now it's like, oh my God. Now there's a lot going on. That's all.
Josh K says, who should we trade first, Harden or Toby? It's Harden 100%. You can't. He's the piece, right? Like, he is the piece. You don't have to trade Tobias Harris. Obviously, like, the money thing would say, like, it would help you, right?
Or you can wait.
Yes.
Right? Because then you can even get more, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it is an expiring deal. Or you can get less, depending on how you look at it, right? On what a team, like, is looking for. But if you're not playing up the snuff as a team, you can have that conversation, right?
That's what we said earlier too, Keys. Like, we do not want to be in a situation, because we've seen Harden do this before, where he is still on the roster by, like, camp, preseason, regular season, because we'll get fat Harden real quick. We'll see a return from the rafters from that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. No, I don't want Kelly Oubre.
No, he's an ultimate hate the face guy. No,
you hate the game too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Like, I get it, like, 3-and-D guy with length. No, I'm good.
No, if it goes in like August, everybody's right. The longer this goes, he's got to get done with, man. You kidding me? You need a coach to know what he's coaching. Like, that's important right now. You can't just wait. You can't wait for this. He isn't. Go get a deal done. That's it. Because they would have to be. If he opted into this, there has to be that conversation is clear. Like, that's all clear. Everybody's on the same page, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because why he's not going to opt into it and accept it.
No.
If to stay here, he would have asked for another deal.
No, 100%.
He would ask for a 2 or 3 year deal. So there's no way that there isn't something that's going to be done shortly. Get him out of here. Get him out.
Roman, he shot the ball 7 times. You're comparing a fourth option. Like, this is not like a Tobias Harris, like he had like 2 points, I think, that game. So he sucked. Everybody sucked.
I'm not going to give Tobias Harris a hand job here, but let's
not compare, like, who scored more. Okay, look at who scored, or I should say didn't score in the final 5 minutes when we had a lead, and then we completely collapsed in the final 4 or 5 minutes of Game 6. Like, you're not going to get bonus points to all the James Harden people out there. Like, oh my God, he scored more than Tobias Harris. Guess what? He had 2 more points than Tom and I did. Right? Like, Tobias Harris. Like, okay. Right? I think Daryl Morey in the freaking team office scored more than Tobias. Right? Yeah. That doesn't say, like, James Harden's, like, all of a sudden really good. Like, what? Like, I don't understand. Do we want to talk about who scored more in Game 7? Right? When we had a lead, and then we just collapsed once James Harden decided to have that idiotic N1 foul? And we had all the ball movement in the first. I mean, Tom, again, another text exchange, right? All ball movement, all crazy until like 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Then James Harden comes back. We get the N1 on the Celtics right before George Niang grabs Jaylen Brown, and then just dribble. Like, come on, man. Like, if we want to stick up for James, don't talk about Tobias Harris, who's the fourth option who barely shot. Come on. Like, there's other avenues to stick up for Harden. Trust me, I did it for 2 years. I tried. It's time to go. Right, Tom? It is time to go.
Yeah, I mean, it was time. Like I said, it was time at the closing moments of Game 6, right? And then Game 7 was just the final nail in that coffin. You could say for the whole roster, right? You know, you could say for maybe outside of Maxey and Tobias, right? Like we were just going to dump, right? Because I talked about dumping for give me the number one pick of the draft. San Antonio, I ain't taking Wembanyama, I'm taking Brandon Miller, but give me the number one pick of the draft, and we'll go to work here. Right. And give me a lot more than that. But let's start with that. Right. This has to be the worst Sixers offseason. I mean, yeah, no, teacher got game. I get you, babe. I get you. I'm right with you. It's not good.
4 hours.
And I know I get that.
It's been 4 hours.
I had to think for a second. Like I've driven I feel like I've driven 5 hours today, which I essentially have.
Yes, you drove longer than this offseason has technically.
I had to drive to a game that was an hour away. Then back to a hotel was an hour away from that, and then from Maryland back home to Jersey, all in that time frame of this offseason. So I mean, I feel like I put in more work than the Sixers have. Just started.
It's anyone who thinks like we're happy about this. No, teacher got game. Anyone who agrees with him, no. Do I enjoy the headlines of the Sixers free agency being losing Shake Milton and George effing Niang? No, it's kind of weird. I don't like it. Okay. But it's been 4 hours. Let's wait until, I don't know, tomorrow. Maybe actually next week. And then we'll be like, hey, does it really suck? Let's see if we actually keep Harden and what we get for him. Trust me, Tom and I and all of us here at A2D, as well as a lot of people in Philly, we have no problem saying that the Sixers screwed up. We're quite used to it. But let's breathe a little bit now. Let's refresh the page a couple times.
Yeah, that deal that could get you back the stuff from the Clippers for Harden. You know, that deal makes you so much better. It just does. It just does. I'm not telling everybody we're loaded, but we become very good. Very good. Right? You're getting all double-digit guys back, right? You get Morris back, right? You get Man's a double-digit guy, and Pal's obviously, 18, 19 a game type. So you're getting all that back. It just makes you better. Just makes you better in a different type of way. And it buys it. It's a little bit more of what this coach probably wants too. So I don't see why the Clippers wouldn't be in there where they're at right now as an organization, right? In a way, with two big stars sort of searching for that third, right? In a market like that, okay, to sell tickets to compete with the Lakers, I get why a team like that would be.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So it's really the perfect marriage if that's real. Now offensive freedom sort of goes out the window there, playing with those two guys, but I digress on that, right?
Robert, I would say this, okay? On paper, is it as flashy as it could be? And it doesn't scream we're better. No, it doesn't scream that, but it allows Maxey and all of us to see how good he can be. If he takes that next step,
it doesn't scream. Hold on. It doesn't scream we're better. Those three guys doesn't scream we're better than one. It screams we're better.
If we're better than just running it back, yeah, I would. I would say that. Yeah,
it's better. It's better. Because now Tobias gets a higher lead role. Maxey gets to show you that higher lead role. So, that's better to me. It's more offensive rhythm. That's just more rhythm. Offensively, it's way more rhythm. We've seen this guy kill the basketball and ruin your momentum offensively. We've watched it. We've watched him slow it down to a crawl. That's not what Nick Nurse wants. So if you're talking about the fit, Because it's not about just a player, guys. It's about a player fitting. So don't tell me, anybody out there, that it's not clear as day that he opts in as quick as he does, and the rumors of him getting out of here that quick as Nick Nurse has come in here. And that's not an indictment on James Harden, right? Like, that's a huge indictment to me. That tells me that guy doesn't fit what I want to do offensively. And you're going to say, well, it's a coach's job to fit to his players' strengths. You can't fit to pound the ball into the cement for 24 seconds of a shot clock.
No,
you just don't.
If you game plan, again, Joel Embiid is the most important. That's bar none, okay? As bad as he was at times in the playoffs, he's by far the most important piece. So you cater to him first. Then I'd argue, if Harden's here or not, you cater to Tyrese Maxey, right? Because he has shown you how good he can be, and there's still untapped potential. Am I saying he's going to be Jamal Murray, right? Like, I keep seeing this, like, oh, he has the projection to be the next Jamal Murray. Like, is that true, or is that like, oh, okay, we're trying to replicate it because Jamal Murray just won a championship? Do I see parallels? Sure, I do. Is that like a dream scenario where that could be the case and we don't have to go out and look for anything crazy anywhere else, like 35-year-olds that can't, really move anymore? Yes, right? But I also think that's kind of projecting a little bit. But it would be refreshing, right? For once in a little while, we're not just doing, that guy's a big name, he's going to solve things. Okay, that guy's 33 and really can't, jump over a paperclip anymore. He's going to solve things. No, it allows us to find some things out that we've been looking forward to finding things out while also competing too. Because I think Norman Powell, if he were to land here, I think you see a better version of him than you did on the Clippers. One, because he reunites with Nick Nurse. I'm not saying that Tyronn Lue didn't put him in a situation to succeed. But if you just look as a roster standpoint, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he was in the best situation to, show his full potential because you didn't know if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were playing that night, right? Like he was kind of playing second and maybe third fiddle because obviously when Paul George is there, the ball's running through him. Kawhi Leonard, he likes being on ball. You never had a situation where it's like Norman Powell kind of not running the team, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's different, right? Like I think Norman Powell's a really good player. I think he can help us. And I think he obviously gets better reuniting with Nurse and also pairing up with the MVP of the league. That helps things too.
Yeah.
And then everything you get also.
Yeah, I don't think, first off, SI, let's just start with this. Tobias, nobody's talking about him being an all-star. So just talking about a bigger role might bring more production, more ball movement, right? With his type of style of play could bode well for him. Maybe it doesn't, right? I don't got the crystal ball. Okay, but Nick Nurse style of offense, cutting to the basket, getting downhill a little bit more, good ball movement. Maybe he could have a better year. Still don't think he's an all-star. Now Norman Powell is what he is. He's just a good player. He's not a star, an all-star type player. He's a good player. That's it. That's it. Terrence Mann to me is okay, right? And Morris brings you some of that toughness we talk about.
Yep. Right.
Can score enough, and if you start him, fine. If you bring him off your bench, whatever you decide to do with him, fine. But you're just better. Like I'll argue that. I'll argue that forever that this basketball team is better the second a deal like that gets done, and not only better for right now, they're better in the long term too.
Don't you feel like you're no longer like if you bring back Harden, right? You feel like you're kind of stuck in his organization, right? Like just the one move of bringing back Harden. Say it's not 4 years, say it's 3, right? Say it's not the long-term, fully long-term thing. I feel stuck. I feel stale if I'm a Sixers fan, if I'm a Sixers organization. At least I can, when we joked about this last week, or a couple weeks ago, I could talk myself into it, right? Like I can't be in a situation where I could talk myself into just running it back where everybody's just a year older and more expensive. I can't do that. I could talk myself into, okay, you get a really good player in Powell plus Mann and then picks because we don't have any picks that we can use or even to trade or even pick with until like 2029. So that helps. And it frees you up like, oh, okay, I'm not saying this is like a gap year because we're not saying that we're going to go from like the 3rd seed to the 6th seed and it's something like that. But like, it's like, okay, you find out who Maxey is. Norman Powell's really good. Who knows? You might actually get past the 2nd round because things fit a little bit better. And then next year, you're going to have max slots. You're going to have way more money. You could build on even better of a situation that you may have captured by just seeing something different. I know we've been like shuffling the decks the last like 4 or 5 years, and that was a big talking point that you and I had a few years ago, Tom. It's like, okay, can we see a roster without like a bunch of changes, right? But this is one of those changes that need to happen. It just was. It was obvious.
Yeah, hopefully it does now, right?
Yep.
Hopefully it does. It's safe to say that the Miami Heat got some guys paid, and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent too, right? So, just talking about, their culture, got some guys, some probably more. Gabe Vincent, I feel like got, that's about right. I feel like Strus a little bit too much, but I don't think he's worth 4 years, $64 million. That seems like a lot.
The Cavs are doing weird things right now. I don't know. Like comes out the other day, like, oh, they're shopping Garland. Like, oh, okay, you want to do a Garland thing here, Philly? Okay.
Yeah, maybe they don't think they work. Weird.
Yeah. I read something. Maybe it might have even been Woj, where it's like they're concerned about having Mitchell off ball. Like it might help Mitchell in the playoffs. Him like running the team, which Mitchell's turning into like mini Harden in the playoffs, where just like anybody who has Donovan Mitchell, things don't go well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Marsh and Strus, it's ongoing conversation, but the Cavs and the Heat are working on like a 3-team trade, like a sign-in trade. But they're trying to involve like a third team, like the Rockets were mentioned. Yeah, Furkan, we want you dealt to.
Please.
Yeah, now.
But
$5.6 million would have been really nice somewhere else.
It's time for Morey to pull the trigger. And like we said at the beginning of the show, it'll really show a lot about him. One to try to save his job, because now he's on the hot seat. We moved on from coaches. He was brought in here to get this basketball team over the hump. That has not happened yet. And now all eyes are on Daryl Morey to make the right moves, not only for next year, but for the next couple of years when it comes to the Sixers. So let's hold on tight. Everybody out there, hold on tight. Anything else, right?
No, I'm good. Happy free agency. Hopefully the Sixers do something within the next 24 hours so people stop panicking, and also so I don't panic.
Yeah, it would be nice to, like I said, in the next, let's say over the next week, that this is done, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you they have to do it tomorrow. But let's get something done over the next week, please.
So that there's some free agents left by the time Daryl wakes up.
Freaking, and they're really going to be all Dylan Brooks up. I'm going to have to give Dylan Brooks a max. There'll be nobody left.
Freaking Trevelyan Queen and Ricky Council.
There's a lot of bad basketball players, man.
They're going to be starting for us now.
There's a lot of bad basketball
Ricky Council's going to be starting point guard. Oh, I like Ricky Council.
Yeah, like you just don't have the room, or listen, you don't have the cap room, etc., to not make this move right now. Like you don't have it. That's the point. It's the point. You got $12 million. That's not filling out like 6 spots. They get you to 15. Is it 15?
Yeah.
Or is it 12?
Yeah.
Is it 15, right? It's 15, right? I ain't getting you to 15. You're lucky to get to 11.
Yeah.
See how much everybody's getting paid?
Some of the 15 don't dress, but yeah, the roster. And then you've got like the 2-way deals.
Yeah. You're going to be all 2-way deals.
Yeah.
Remember when we were excited about the buyout market? That's where we're going to be.
Yeah. I've Dwayne Dedmon, I was like, okay, no pun intended. As soon as I saw Dwayne Dedmon, the buyout market was officially dead to me. Like that was the move. They Dwayne Dedmon me.
SI, I'll tell you this, brother. He said, and we'll end with this. I think Morey is low key working for Harden and not for Philly. I hear you. That if that has any bit of truth to it, that he's going to wait for Harden's best deal. Oh, well, the guy should get fired immediately. I can't believe that's true.
No, I've heard people say like there's got to be something, and like we've jokingly said.
Oh wow,
like,
McShay got axed.
Oh
too?
yeah, oh yeah. I'll say this about ESPN, right? Because people were like, and Josh says like they watch A2D way more than ESPN. Good decision, by the way.
Josh,
yeah, appreciate you. I'll say this, right? So I'm watching the the free agency special on ESPN. You'll get a kick out of this, Tom. You I was actually envious that of you driving that you weren't able to watch this because you didn't miss anything. They do a 4-hour pregame.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it anyway.
No, I'm just me. I go into a frenzy. This is like Christmas part 2 for me. So I'm like, oh, I gotta consume, even if it's like bad NBA content. I gotta do it. They do a 4-hour pregame. Then 6 o'clock happens. And it's the free agency special. Guess what ESPN does? They go off the air. The free agency special, once free agency starts, they go off the air. Then they come back at 6:45. And they're like, oh, we're gonna catch you up on all the deals. Guess what they talk about for the first 10 minutes, Tom? Kyrie Irving, who hadn't signed yet. What do we do? It's not that hard. We're not trying to say we have all the answers. We're not. But come on. Who does a 4-hour pregame for free agency, then goes off the air for free agency, then comes back and talks about everything but the free agents that were signed?
Yeah.
What do we do? What are we doing?
That is weird.
But appreciate you all, everybody who watches A2D over ESPN. Appreciate you.
Keep working hard, Disney. Keep working hard. All right, we appreciate you all for watching. If you haven't, hit the like and subscribe. Turn the bell on. Make sure you're tuned in to all our live shows here at A2D Radio. We're praying Daryl makes a move sooner rather than later.
Something.
And everybody hold on tight. Hopefully by Wednesday when we're I would like it by Sunday. That'd be nice too.
Tom, I'll take a bad deal. Daryl, make a bad deal. Just something. Show us that you're over there. I'd prefer not a bad deal, but just do something.
Yeah, get something done soon. That's Ryan Bretto. I'm Tom Arnone. We appreciate everybody out there tuning in. We are brought to you by Baggio's Bread tonight. They're located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. They're the home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. Mention A2D Radio. You get 10% off your in-store order. Go to Baggio's Bread, right in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Go check them out. We appreciate you tuning in. Love you. Hit the like and subscribe. Out of here.